So I've been playing a lot of Smackdown vs. Raw lately, more specifically Smackdown vs. Raw 2006, and even more specifically than that, the PSP port of Smackdown vs. Raw 2006. And I gotta tell you, coming from WWE 2K, jumping back in time to SvR 06 is really a breath of fresh air. I forgot just how good this game was, especially the PSP port, because yes, the console version is superior in every single way, especially from a visual standpoint, but the PSP version did such a great job just getting that experience right on the go. You know, they had to dumb down the graphics, of course they did, to fit the PSP's processing power, but other than that, it's essentially the same exact game. And I've been really into emulating retro handheld consoles lately, so the PSP, I've been playing this game damn near every single night before bed for multiple hours, sometimes at a time. The time just flies when you boot up this game and you just want to play one match in season mode. All of a sudden, you're at WrestleMania, baby. It happens just like that. The game just sucks you in, and the reason why is because the gameplay is just so damn good. Now, for years, I've had in my head that Smackdown vs. Raw 2007 was the cream of the crop when it came to Smackdown vs. Raw games. And a lot of that is probably rooted in just nostalgia. You know, I have such a fond memory of that time period when SvR 07 came out. I made a whole video talking about the hype I had for that game and just how beautiful the initial screenshots looked. It was the first Smackdown vs. Raw game to be on the Xbox 360, and those HD textures, the sweat dripping off the characters, the environmental grapples, man. That game was just so exciting at the time, and I think that's why I've held that game in such high regard. But dude, go back and play Smackdown vs. Raw 2006. That game holds up so well. The controls are immaculate. Just being able to chain reversals is cool. Of course, you could do that in the first Smackdown vs. Raw as well. And I guess what I really want to talk about here is that SvR 06 is like a perfect blend of all of our favorite wrestling games. Stay with me now. You've got the momentum system from the Aki games, and it works really well here. In Smackdown vs. Raw 2006, they also have the clean and dirty tactics from the year prior that were introduced, where if you play the match as a good guy by doing aerial moves, signature moves, kind of playing to the crowd and within the rules, you'll gain more spirit or momentum and be able to hit a finisher sooner. And that's awesome. If you play as a heel, exposing the turnbuckle, complaining to the referee after a 2 count, you know, hanging on to a submission after your opponent reaches the rope, things like that, then you gain momentum faster to get your finisher. And it really incentivizes you to play the game as you would like a real match. Like, you play the role of a heel or a babyface. It's awesome. I can't get enough of that. So it really molds those two mechanics together really well. But it also has the great different amount of grapples, the grapple diversity. You know, you got your submission grapples, your power grapples, your signature grapples, all that stuff from like Here Comes the Pain that made that game so popular. That's in SvR 06 as well. Like, the remnants of all of these great games from the past are here in 06, and it looks pretty good too. Of course, this was like the best graphics you could get on the PS2 at the time before we went on to the HD era. And these graphics, the polygon count increased massively in the character models from the original Smackdown vs. Raw. The game is very good, even on the PSP, and I gotta say, that's the only department that the PSP comes up short compared to the console version. They of course had to fit the PSP's processing power capabilities with the graphics, so they dumbed that down, but everything else is there, man. And the graphics are still serviceable, but when I say everything's there, I mean like General Manager mode, Season mode, create an entrance, create a championship. Everything in the console version is there in the PSP. And actually, the PSP version adds some modes as well, like mini games, and Jake the Snake Roberts is only unlockable on the PSP, which you can then port to the PS2, but it's cool that they gave you extras. I love the legends in this game. Of course, the roster in 2006 is not the best roster in any WWE game, but I like that you can acquire everything in the game without worrying about virtual currency or my faction points. I mean, what even is that? No, you can do challenges within the game to get some money, or you can just play through the season mode and get money that way as you just progress in the season. And then you use that money to unlock certain superstars or attires. You can do challenges as well within the game. There's different tiers like amateur, rising star, all the way up to legend challenges, and then you get money from that, and some legends can only be unlocked by completing those challenges. So that's kind of a neat way to kind of extend the game's life, and it really motivates you to unlock these characters. But more on the gameplay, which really is the meat and potatoes of this game and why I'm so hooked on it and can't put it down. I love just right at the opening bell, you can initiate a mini game if you're in a one-on-one match, like a stare down, a test of strength, things like that. You've got your chops, of course, mini games like that, the submission mini games. There's variations of it, like stop the marker within the escape or reverse meter, I guess that comes up, and then you've got just your regular button mashing mini games. Stuff like that is really dynamic. The matches feel so alive. Of course, you've got your stamina meter there too, which you have to manually press down the select button to regroup your stamina. And you can turn this off from the options menu. Me personally, I like leaving it on because it's just another game within the game. You need to be smart about when you recover your stamina. So I usually like to recover my stamina once I've damaged my opponent to a point that they're showing physical signs of being damaged. For example, if you beat somebody's head up and it's on red damage, then when they get up off the mat, there will be a little animation sometimes that they kind of got to stop and compose themselves. There's an animation that they do for that, and I like to take that time to regroup some stamina. Or you can just like strong Irish whip someone to the outside of the ring and just kind of catch a breather. Things that they do in real life, you know? The game really finds that balance between arcade and sim that is so hard to replicate in a pro wrestling game. I think Smackdown vs. Raw 2006 does it perfectly. Now, I remember the season mode. I was kind of disappointed with it at the time when I was a kid because we were coming off of Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain, and the first Smackdown vs. Raw, which all had at least a year. In Shut Your Mouth's case, it was 2 full years of gameplay with kind of branching paths and kind of choose your own adventure style gameplay. I love that stuff, and it was definitely more on rails in a more linear sense for Smackdown vs. Raw 2006. But at the same time, the stories were more personalized. So you can take any superstar, well, not any superstar, like half the roster only, because not everybody laid down lines for your player character. But the ones that did are there, like all the big names. You got your Cena, Batista, Triple H, Edge, Christian, Jericho, Booker T, guys like that. And yeah, the stories are actually kind of entertaining, and it's not like you don't have any choice at all. For example, the story progresses whether you win or lose your matches. I think that's awesome, and there are consequences sometimes for losing matches. You don't have to restart your season mode or do the match until you win, ever. No, if you lose a big match, then the next story will be different. That's kind of a crazy concept in today's MyRise day and age, but yeah, you don't have to necessarily win to advance the story. And there are some choices. Of course, they're not major stories, but there are times where you have an opportunity to blame somebody for like some backstage drama, or you have a choice to attack somebody versus somebody else, or choose an alliance with one person over the other. There's little mini decisions like that kind of give you the illusion of freedom. But the stories themselves are actually kind of compelling. I like the Triple H's conquest for gold and SmackDown invading. Of course, every Smackdown vs. Raw season mode back then had an SvR storyline. That was the namesake of the game, for crying out loud. But even the Legends Tour was amusing. It was nice to see Steve Austin do some voiceover work in the game, Mankind as well. I liked who ran over Teddy Long and that kind of manhunt. It's been so long since I played the game that I was actually hooked. And I was like, oh my god, who did run over Teddy Long? I gotta find this out. Of course, there's a cool story with Eddie Guerrero stealing The Undertaker's urn. I mean, this game is filled with so many fun stories, and if you play through Raw and SmackDown, they're completely different, with the exception of the Legends Tour, which I think will trigger if your character takes part in any of the pre-existing stories. As a filler, they just do the Legends Tour, but even that is pretty amusing. I mean, doing a submission match with Bret Hart? Come on, that's fun. I think as the years went on and we went away from the arcade style of the first SmackDown games, like the first couple, 1 and 2, and Just Bring It, and we got more and more simulation, we kind of lost the fun factor a little bit. At the end of the day, a video game is supposed to be fun, right? So you need to... I know people want that simulation experience, but I don't think today's product, the 2K games, are an accurate representation of the in-ring product. I just don't think matches actually play out that way. So I would like us to kind of tone down whatever our idea at 2K of simulation is and kind of go back to our roots and make these games fun again, more fun. I think we're starting to get there. I will say that. Ever since we took that break after the disaster that was 2K20, we're starting to have more fun again. Matches are more fast-paced. We have cool backstage areas yet again. But I just think there's more, right? You're just left wanting more, because what is there is a great foundation to build on, but at a certain point, you got to start building, right? Because I feel like every year we're like, this is a solid foundation for the next installment. And this is a loop that all sports games kind of find themselves confined in. Madden is guilty of this, especially, where it's like every year, it's kind of like a meme at this point. We're like, this is a solid foundation to build on for next year. Let's start building now, because we've been saying that since 2K came back with 2K22. But to those of you who have only ever played the 2K games, I can't recommend enough picking up Smackdown vs. Raw. And start with 2006. I think you won't regret it. It's a hell of a lot of fun, no matter what platform you play it on, PS2 or PSP. This game just nailed it in the gameplay department. I can't say that enough. The reversal system is top notch. You don't have a certain amount of reversals you're limited to in the game. There's not just one single button that does reversals. Right trigger reverses grapples, left trigger reverses strikes, and that is cool because even that is a game within the game, because you can't just spam one reversal button. You can't just accurately time one reversal button. You have to also guess what's coming next. And as the attacker, you are forced to diversify your moveset. You can't just spam kicks, you can't just spam grapples. You have to do a healthy mix of both. And I wish we would go back to that. If the new 2K games could take any one mechanic from the Smackdown series, it would be the reversal system. We need to go back to having different reversal buttons for different actions. But that's my rant about Smackdown vs. Raw 2006. I am still playing it as we speak, and I probably will be playing it for the foreseeable future. It's just, I can't get enough of this damn game. I have so many games on my backlog, a never-ending list. I mean, Ghost of Yotai came out. I haven't gotten to that yet. I just can't stop playing the damn PSP. I can't put this game down. It's so addicting. So I gotta stop recording because I want to go back to my season mode right now. I'm doing one with Christian, and I gotta get through the Raw storyline, and that's all I've been thinking about this whole time I'm recording. So thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment down below. Do all the YouTube stuff for me, please, and I will catch you all next time. Until then, be well and take care. Peace.